This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first GT3 casual race of 2021, live and direct on World Pro Racing. It's Alex Goldschmidt running solo tonight, and I'd like to wish you all a warm welcome to what's going to be a fantastic 2021 calendar for us here. Of course, we can't do this without all the help of our relevant supporters. This stream is powered by our good friends at Melita. Visit Malta.com, Gaming Malta, HyperX, where we're all gamers, AMD, and Thrustmaster. A warm welcome to those watching on Malta's TVM Sport channel, Esports TV, Motorsport TV, and the associated World Pro Racing streams on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We're going to be running at Circuit Zolder, which has been around for quite a long time, but currently it was built in 1963. It hosted the Formula One Grand Prix until it moved to Spa in 1985. It has some iconic corners. It's been named after some fantastic individuals within the world of motorsport. So effectively, a little bit of history. What series have competed at Circuit Zolder? It was originally known as Circuit Terlamen before it got changed. Formula One, the Super League Formula. Anyone remember that old chestnut from the old 2000s? The DTM, most recently in 2019 and 2020. Champ Car, the Blanc Power Sprint Series, of course. We're running with GT3 machinery this evening. Around about 30 cars on the grid. The 24 Hours of Zolder, the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series, and also something called the FIA World Touring Car Cup. Yeah, that's a recent addition in the world of touring cars. But of course, let's have a look at what we're coming into, because we're going to go on track, because free practice, 15 minutes, now currently underway. And we've got some new faces, one of which is currently on track at the moment. Daniel Ginshard, who I know from the world of karting, one of the many PC Boys drivers, along with the likes of Nathaniel Thomas. Currently here, he's running the number 37 Bentley. So we do have quite a lot of the familiar faces. Yannick Ruoff, Mihai Sotianu, Nathaniel Thomas. I know for a fact that, unfortunately, Luke Whitehead has had pedal troubles this evening, so won't be joining us. The circuit itself is 2.492 miles, 4.101 kilometers, and it has been running in the current configuration since 2007. As always, the sprint format here on World Pro Racing. It's a 15-minute free practice session, a 15-minute qualifying session, and then we go into a flat-out, full-throttle 30-minute race. There's Alex Johnson running in the 2:48 Bentley. So Ginshard leading the initial times at the moment, and as you can see, we still use the Pro, Silver, and Am denominations. That is based on their ranking on this game. So Daniel Ginshard, who I know very, very well indeed, he's mainly been working on the strategy with PC Boys, but now he has decided to get behind the wheel. We all at World Pro Racing hope you are keeping safe and well amidst these difficult times, amidst the global pandemic. So Marcus Littlewood, another karter as well, who is part of the PC Boys group. There's Nathaniel Thomas. He's just jumped back into the well, there's Marcus Littlewood. He's done the quickest time of 1 minute 27.540. So there's Mihai Sotianu from Romania, one of the regulars, running in the number 22 Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo. Just behind him in the 297 Ferrari is Germany's Yannick Ruoff. Then we've got Oscar Saristo in the number 9 and Kirsten from GT Omega RPM Esports. But there's plenty of action coming your way over the next month or so. Let me just run down the list anyhow, because Season 2, Round 1 of the World Pro Racing ACC Sprint Series gets underway this coming Friday, and you'll be able to join Jake Sperry and Kieran McGinley as our dedicated commentators. They head to Imola this coming Friday, a €500 prize fund for the top 3 in Pro. We are also running alongside that an AM category, so we'll be concentrating here on the broadcast on the Pro Series. We'll have GT4 casual racing at Laguna Seca this time next week, before Kyle Army hosts round 2 of the World Pro Racing ACC Sprint Series on the 22nd. And then we'll have the 90 minutes multi-class race, the first one I think that I've seen here on World Pro Racing, GT3s and GT4s running at the Nürburgring, the Grand Prix circuit, that is. Then it's the third race on the 29th of January for the Sprint Series, taking place at Misano. And then we have the all-German 2-hour race, which must be a car of German origin, so Audi, Mercedes, Porsche, amongst others. That's got 5 spots remaining, and that's taking place on the 30th of January. And then we go into February with the first casual race of that month, the 2nd of February, which is the Porsche 911 GT3R casual race at Brands Hatch Grand Prix. So plenty of action over the next 4 weeks to keep, or 3 or 4 weeks to keep you all entertained. We're on board with Daniel Ginchard in the Bentley, and he's currently second behind PC. Now you can just see, I can just see by the way that he's driving, it's good old elbows out, try and get your way past, and a good move there by Ginchard, as there's one car to the right hand side. Yellow flag, so no overtaking obviously for that Bentley stuck on the right hand side of the road. So Ginchard currently running in 2nd position. Alex Johnson rounds out the top 3 with Nathan Thomas rounding out the top 4. So it looks to be a PC boys clean sweep at the top 4. Mihai Sutianu, and look at the gap that Littlewood has got over Ginchard, a 1 minute 27.540 with just under 8 minutes of the session remaining. Yellow flags out again. Briefly, Ginchard a 1:27.891. Alex Johnston nearly half a second off of Marcus Littlewood, with Nathan Thomas a further 0.6 off of the provisional top time, with Mihai Sutianu being the closest of the other marks, predominantly being Lamborghini. Yannick Ruoff, Oscar Saristo round out the top 7, with Kirsten from GT Omega RPM Esports rounding out the top 8. Then we have Dan Hackett in the number 44 Bentley, followed by Calvin Heitzel, who is in the Good Time Racing Mercedes AMG GT3. In the number 79, he's rounding out the top 10. A 1 minute 29.583 is his best time. Obviously, the previous lap may have been deleted due to track limits. It's quite tight and technical here at Zolder. And then you've got quite a few other drivers. A lot of drivers. The Bentley. There is Finland's Oscar Saristo in the Lightspeed Esports Ferrari 488 GT3. And there is Heitzel coming through the Kleine Schikane, and then through Sacrament Schelling, through into Buta, before the chicane named after the late Gilles Villeneuve, father to Jacques Villeneuve. And we go on board with the number 79 Mercedes, going through the Telamenbocht, and then we're going to head down towards Boulderberg, pushing over 220 kph before hitting the braking zone. One of the Porsches just up ahead, running a little bit wide, so not carrying so much apex speed. Through the Jochen Rindt Bocht, and then we go to the corner named after the 6-time Le Mans winner, Jackie Ickx, who recently celebrated a birthday as well, if memory serves me correctly. I think it was around the Christmas or New Year point. So we go on board still with Heitzel, who crosses the line, a 1 minute 29.610, and he then has to abruptly abort that lap, well, run through the kitty litter. There's Alessandro Iadicola from the NERT team, Nord-Est Racing team, in the number 77 Bentley Continental GT3. So we're coming through to the halfway, to the final third of this session. We'll have an all-out, guns blazing turbochargers white spooled up to the max, as Mathieu Milot in the Lexus, the leading Lexus, the number 26, rounding out the top 15, ahead of, we've got Reboldi there, Diego Reboldi, and then just in front is Marco Piardi in 14th in the number 7 Bentley. So a lot of drivers here. Cornelius Yaziunas number 69 Bentley rounding out the top 17 ahead of the number 690 McLaren of Rainer Resser. With another familiar face, well, familiar name that is, Stephen Painter in the number 14 Lexus rounding out the top 20. And you can just see how much commitment you need going through the Kleine Schikane. And there's Josef Dobes from Germany in the JD Racing 83 Mercedes. He's now heading down towards the Jackie X Bocht and is running P12. So let's see if Josef can depose Calvin Heutzel, and does so quite convincingly there, but by the narrowest of fractions. 1 minute 29.562, but it is still Marcus Littlewood that leads the times here in free practice. Also, another interesting fact about Zolder is that it's also been used for hosting cycling events, including the UCI Road World Championships twice in 1969 and 2002. And it also saw the UCI Cyclocross World Championships in 1970, 2002, and as most recently as 2016. It's also hosted the UCI BMX World Championships. There was a lot of safety adaptations that actually happened at the beginning of 2006, and the year after, it hosted a World Series Grand Prix for Champ Car and also a round of the FIA GT Championship. It's also hosted World Series by Renault and also replaced Zandvoort as the site for Masters of Formula 3 in 2007 and 2008. It's also featured on Top Gear that same year as well, where we had the competition between Top Gear. So it was Britain versus Germany. So it was the plucky trio of Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond competed against their German counterparts from Die Motor, which was the German equivalent at that time. Iade Kola still rounding out the top 15 in the number 77 Bentley, as we are fast approaching the conclusion in about 2 minutes' time. Bruno Vieira in the number 33 Porsche 911 GT3 R 991-2 variation, currently rounding out the top 23 positions and is ahead of Michael Perezada. And then you've got Jake Payne from Vance Racing rounding out the top 25 positions, so quite a lot of cars here, and that's going to be rather tricky getting into turn one for the first time, as that's, I think that was Mihai Suțianu going absolutely sideways, putting the power down in the Lamborghini, and he's just behind Alex Johnston, who still rounds out the top three. So it is a Bentley lockout for the top four positions. Now the server will start from, I think if memory, I think it might be 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it will be a 5 times multiplier, so we will head towards dusk. As you can see the temperature there on the top right hand corner of your screens. 27 degrees air temperature, 32 degrees track temperature. The track is optimum, but it is cloudy overhead as the server dictates for the next 30 minutes. But obviously we've only got 40 seconds until this session concludes. Josef Dobes in the 83 still rounds out the top 10 as a lot of drivers, including Calvin Heutzel, decides to pit on the latter throws because it's all about the important run of qualifying. Maybe some of the drivers are putting in low fuel and just getting in a bit of a taster ahead of qualifying. As the timer counts down, and both Johnston and Suțianu going through the Kleine Schikane. Yellow flag's briefly out, and the checkered is out for the free practice session here at Circuit Zolder. So very shortly, we will head into qualifying for the first event of the 2021 World Pro Racing season. And a big thank you to you all tuning in from wherever you are across the globe. And we hope you enjoy the show this evening, because I'm certainly looking forward to it. So don't forget to follow us on our relevant social medias, but also you can join the community. You can also register your interest on competing with us on worldproracing.com. We do PC and PC4 casual races, and also the competitions such as the World Pro Racing ACC Sprint Series. There is more to come in 2021, along with plenty of endurance races. There's Yannick Ruoff, who normally we see in a Porsche, but has switched to the venerable Ferrari. And the German currently running at the top 4, so has broken the stranglehold of the Bentleys and has put the Ferrari in P4 and has parked it to one side and hits the escape button and goes back to the pits. There's Kirsten from the GT Omega RPM Esports. One name you're normally associate that with is Sheldon Scott Muscat. So very much the case that we will go into qualifying very, very shortly indeed. So a big thank you to all our partners as always. A big thank you to you all for watching. So still plenty of racing action this evening. We go into 15 minutes qualifying very, very shortly. You'll see quite a bit of a change around. We're going to go solo comms for these casual races, unless it's an endurance, so 90-minute or a 2-hour race. We'll have a lot more of us for your viewing pleasure, so we can talk you through the action as it happens. So again, we can't thank everybody enough for taking the time to watch these streams. So now we get underway with the proper fireworks coming out now. Qualifying underway. And everyone jockeying for position, being led by Nord-Est Racing Team's number 7, the Bentley of Marco Piardi. And it looks like Yannick Ruoff is just behind, as there's a couple of the PC boys' Bentleys getting their way into position as we go through the Villeneuve chicane. Track limits will be very much policed by race control, as we have our race director, Adrian Figalo, and our race steward, George Muscat, overlooking proceedings. A big thank you also to Justin Mifsud for the broadcast direction and also cameras this evening. So now the drivers will wind the volume up to the number 11, in the words of Spinal Tap, as we now get things underway. The drivers getting themselves very, very much ready. It is about precision here in qualifying, and also precision during the race, as some drivers, one of the Ferraris nearly got clobbered going into the Jackie X-Bocht. That might be investigated by race control, because they want to make sure that the drivers keep all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted. Oscar Saristo, as there's one of the Bentleys stuck on the inside of the Jackie X-Bocht, and there's a PC boys Bentley. Someone's definitely given the kiss of death to one of the cones, as we ride on board with Marco Piardi up the gears into the Kleine Schikane, down from around nearly 230 down to 100 kph from 5th to 2nd, up the gears now, going through the left-hander, Sacrament Schelling, now into Butter before the braking zone into the Villeneuve chicane. Taken in first gear, approaching it at around 85 kph, now into Terlammenbocht. And you can carry the momentum through here rather nicely indeed. And then it's Boulderberg, which will be the next corner. Down from 5th and 220, down to first gear. And that's around 70 kph on the apex, so one of the slowest parts on the circuit. A couple of first gear corners here at Zolder. Now putting the hammer down. Down from 5th at about 220, down to first once again through the chicane. Exiting it at around about 125 kph as he runs wide to the left-hand side. And Piardi crosses the line. Puts in a 1 minute 29.736, but Nathan Thomas and Yannick Ruoff have already gotten past that. So has Calvin Heitzel in the number 79. Marcus Littlewood goes P2, a 1 minute 28.152, as we wait for the likes of Oscar Saristo, as there's an absolute gaggle of cars coming across the start-finish line. Saristo goes P5, Sutiano in the Lamborghini goes 4th. There's Michael Peresada in the number 2 McLaren, running 27th at the moment. but will come across the line very, very shortly to complete a first flying lap here in qualification. Exits out of the corner in the 720S GT3. Someone's kicked up the dust a little bit ahead. Peresada goes across the line, goes 9th on a 1 minute 30.438. Not a shabby first attempt there from Peresada. So Thomas leads from Littlewood, Ruoff in 3rd, Susianu, Heitzel, Saristo, Piardi, Yadecola and Peresada, with Johnson rounding out the top 10 positions as we're close to completing the first third of qualifying. There's Nathan Thomas, or Nathaniel as it's got there, 1 minute 28.071. Let's see if he can push the boundaries of grip and adhesion coming across the line. He does. He's the first driver to go sub 128 at 1 minute 27.966 in the number 70 Bentley. So need to see whether Littlewood is going to respond in kind. And here comes the number 12 across the line. Looks like that lap time was disallowed, possibly for track limits, or 1 minute 27.7. Mihai Sutianu's got a bit of a toe coming down the main straightaway here, but gets impeded. A 1 minute 28.869 for the Romanian keeps the Lamborghini in second place. Peresada has dropped a couple of positions courtesy of the number 1 Ferrari and the number 66 of Janar Titus from Team Cruising Missiles. So we're into the second third of qualifying here at Zolder. Peresada, about to cross the line, is dropping down the order, but goes back up a couple of places. 1 minute 30.255. Nice and steady improvements from the number 2 McLaren. It says Yannick Ruoff. 1 minute 28.497 for the German in the 297 Ferrari, as he now will start powering his way down to the Jackie X-Bocht. And we go on board, down into first gear. Neatly taken was that chicane, and he powers out at the final corner, up the gears, crosses the line, goes P2, 1 minute 28.059 for the German. So getting on to nigh on as Daniel Ginchard flashing the traffic in front. He's currently P5 with the best effort of a 1 minute 28.518, but decides to abort that lap. Was flashing furiously at the car in front, who seemed to impede the Brit. But Yannick Ruoff trying to improve. This track will evolve over the next 8.25 minutes. Mathieu Milo in the number 26, who has had their share of trials and tribulations since we first saw the Lexus driver late last year here on World Pro Racing. Don't forget, if you want to join us here at World Pro Racing, you can get involved by typing in the search engine on your browser or on your tablet, on your phone, on your desktop or your laptop, worldproracing.com. Yazianus in the number 69, one of the other PC Boys drivers, currently running at the top 16, but goes P12 on a 1 minute 29.751. The times are coming down as Mathieu Milo has actually gone up to P9, the highest placed Lexus so far. Nathaniel Thomas coming out of the final corners. He's going to come across the line. And look at that blistering lap at 1 minute 27.732. And that is over 0.3 quicker than Yannick Ruoff. Marcus Littlewood, Alex Johnston, Daniel Ginchard round out the top 5 ahead of Calvin Heitzel. But then, as I say that, Marcus Littlewood is the second driver. And he goes to just over 1/4 second up, or second behind Nathan Thomas. So it's looking good for the PC Boys at the moment. Mihai Sutianu in the Romanian comes across line, goes P5, 1 minute 28.467. Peresada has dropped out of the top 12 and is now languishing at the bottom part of the top 20, but can the number 2 McLaren improve from a 1 minute 30.255. It's also about having a bit of clean air around here at Zolder, as Peresada now will cross the line. Let's see if there's an improvement. Up 7 places and goes into the 129s. 129.6 there. Christopher Leigretsen in the 992 Porsche, running in the 131.5s. Last lap was 1 28.930, but would have been disallowed due to track limits. So just under 6 minutes to go. Still lots to play for. And if you're watching at home, who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting for to put it on pole and also for the race victory? We'd like to hear from you all, and please get as interactive as possible. Mihai Suteanu from Romania in the 128.4s in the Lamborghini Huracan. So it's Bentley leads Bentley from Ferrari, Bentley, Lamborghini, Bentley, Mercedes, Bentley. That is 5 Bentleys in the top 8. And then there's Oscar Saristo from Finland in the Lightspeed Esports number 9 Ferrari. Will the Finn improve? Goes P10. Good effort there, a 1 minute 29.430 as Peresada has put it in the pits. Marco Piardi in the Nord-Est Racing Team number 7 Bentley Continental GT3. Running on a 1 minute 29.7 as a best lap time because the previous lap was not allowed. So Josef Dobes from Germany in the 83, as there's Adam Plivac, I believe. I think I saw his name on the list, but that might not be the case. Josef Dobbs now comes out of the Jackie X-Bocht and will cross the line. That is in the Evo variety. So the 2020 variation of the Mercedes AMG GT3. Marcus Littlewood trying to find some time. He's got to find about 2.5 tenths in the next 4 and a bit minutes to try and get one up on Nathan Thomas. But the good thing is that they're all using the same vehicle. And this will also help them in future races. So Littlewood now making his way to the Jackie X-Bocht. Then comes out of the corner, puts the hammer down to the floor. Let's see if Littlewood does respond. He hugs the left-hand wall as close as he dares. And so he gets closer. 1 minute 27.738 with 3.5 minutes to go. Alex Johnston still has a bit of time to find here. And he did do an outlap last time around, so he's got to get that Bentley up to speed. Best lap from him so far, a 1 minute 28.401. As we go on board with the number 248 Bentley. Up the gears, up to third, up to fourth. Pushing over 200 kph. Now hard on the brakes, down from fifth down to first gear. Into the left, now into the 90 right. Power out of the corner, slight overcorrection because the back end steps out to the left-hand side. And across the line, Johnston goes P4 and a 1 minute 28.151. A good improvement there, but Dan Ginchard needs to hustle that Bentley. He caught the grass and the dust on the left-hand side coming out. He goes P4 now. 1 minute 28.110. Alessandro Iadicola running in P14 in the Bentley. Comes out of the Jackie X-Bocht and now will cross the line. How will this driver fare? Goes P12 on a 1 minute 29.292. But it is 4 Bentleys in the top 5, splits by a solitary Ferrari. So Thomas leads in qualifying with 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Marcus Littlewood is in second. Yannick Huoff in third place. Daniel Ginchard and Alex Johnston rounding out the top 5. David Corso in the number 15, running in the Emil Frey Lexus Racing Lexus RCF GT3, 5.4 litre naturally aspirated V8, pushing around 600 brake horsepower. And then you got the absolute screamer behind the Lamborghini, as one of the PC boys Bentleys definitely went a bit wide coming through to Lammenbocht, but really carried the momentum through. So we're coming into the last 90 seconds of the session. Dan Hackett rounding out the top 9 at the moment, ahead of Marco Piardi. Can the number 44 make some improvements? Well, he drops down to 10th position as a result of Josef Dobes in the number 83 Mercedes. So Hackett absolutely gunning that throttle, not holding back. Into 5th, hard on the brakes, through into first gear. See if this is a better lap for the number 44 Bentley. Out of the final corner, running towards the line at huge speeds. Not quite enough. The last lap was a 1 minute 29.685, but Hackett still has another lap in the bag. We have 40 seconds of this qualifying session at the moment. And some drivers, like Marco Piardi, looking to move up the order. Number 7, currently P11 at the moment. Yellow flags briefly out here in the session as Piardi will cross the line and will have another lap opportunity to get up the order. But it is Nathan Thomas and Marcus Littlewood that have a Bentley 1-2 at the moment. Yannick Horhoff, who has been close, but not close enough to get a victory here on World Pro Racing. But could it be the Germans' opportunity here at Zolder this evening? We'll find out a little bit later on. Timer hit 0. The checkered is out for qualifying. So, and that from Nathan Thomas was a 1 minute 28. But look at that, 6 1,000ths deciding qualifying. Incredible, incredible stuff. Nathan Thomas takes pole position here for the first casual GT3 race at Zolder, ahead of Marcus Littlewood. Yannick Horhoff rounds out the top 3. So the biggest question is, what is going to happen over the next 30 minutes is probably what you're all wondering. Well, as far as I can say, as far as I can admit, it's about getting through turn 1. Heading into Aosta for the first time for 30 minutes of racing. That's where the race can be not won, but it certainly can be lost. But a big thank you once again to all our partners: Melita, visitmalta.com, Gaming Malta, HyperX, AMD, and Thrustmaster. We are very, very shortly going to get underway with our race. 30 minutes around this fantastic track at Zolder, around 30 cars, which is a heck of a lot of GT3 horsepower. And we will be going lights out very, very soon indeed. Who are you rooting for this evening? I'm rooting for one hell of a race tonight here on World Pro Racing. We will be speaking to some drivers in some post-race interviews a little bit later on, but I think very shortly we will be heading to the track itself. 2.492 miles, 4.010 kilometers. And with the current track that we're using at the moment, it has been used since 2007. And I've actually visited it back in 2016 when they were having some, I think it was some, the Bell Car Series. They were having a lot of cars roaring around the track, and it was such a glorious sight to hear, a glorious thing to hear, not sight because I couldn't see the cars from where I was, but it also is the home of the famed Michel Vaillant Cafe. Of course, those that know their motorsport, if you are a big Michel Vaillant fan, a fictional French racing driver that was brought back to real life, courtesy of Alain Menu and the Chevrolet Works factory a few years ago, where they ran in the Vaillant livery, and Alain Menu had his contacts in, clean-shaven, jet black hair, and it was such a great sight to see. We've got just under 3 minutes to go until the race gets truly underway. But again, just quickly, we've got the World Pro Racing ACC Sprint Series starting this Friday. A prize pool of €500. €250 goes to our pro champion after 5 weeks of competition, starting this Friday at 20:30 Central European Time. If you're in the UK, that's 7:30 p.m. and they will be heading to Imola. And then, of course, we'll have our first GT4 casual race next week, and that will be at the infamous WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. And I think very shortly we will be heading to the track, but a great domination from the PC Boys duo of Nathan Thomas and Marcus Littlewood. And there's 4 Bentleys in the top 5. I think the stronghold could be very much on Bentley's side, but whether the prancing horse and maybe the raging bull from Automobili Lamborghini might have something to say about it throughout the 30 minutes of racing. So also, we'd like to thank, as always, our viewers on Malta's TVM Sport channel, our good friends over at Esports TV, and also motorsport.tv as well. And this is where it is going to get rather interesting on how many drivers will go into turn one. Will we go full guns blazing? Well, here on World Pro Racing, anything is possible. So I hope you all had a really good Christmas and New Year, despite what has happened. I know that a lot of you might have been getting a lot of goodies, you know, maybe getting, maybe a PC or maybe some game software, you know, like say Assetto Corsa Competizione, Gran Turismo Sport, rFactor 2. Of course, if you are on PC or PS4, we will be having more casual races on our official website, which you can find at worldproracing.com. You can also follow us on, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed, why haven't you? Why don't you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell? And whilst you're at it, give this video a like if you're enjoying the show so far. Okay, right. It's about to get things underway. Let's get ready to go racing here at Zolder. And we're just under 20 seconds away from the start. So it is Thomas from Littlewood, Uoff, Ginchard, Johnston, Suzianu, Heitzel, Saristo, Piardi, and Dorbes that round out the top 10 positions. Okay, top tips here. Get through turn one and then keep your nose clean, and also make sure you conserve tyres and fuel as much as possible, even though you tell that to a racing driver, that won't happen. Okay, let's get things underway for the first time here on World Pro Racing. It is a Bentley 1-2, a front row lockout. So Thomas and Littlewood will control the pace as they now come through Jackie X-Bocht. Ladies and gentlemen, 30 minutes here at Zolder. Are we ready? Are we steady? Well, without further ado, let's go. Green, green, green here at Zolder as they make to turn one for the first time through into Erster. And it's Linus Sterners. Oh, punt from behind from Ruoff on Littlewood. That was a bit cheeky. Suzianu losing a couple of positions there. There's Calvin Heitzel. And then Michael Peresada is way down the order in round 17th position. So Nathaniel Thomas trying to break away as Marcus Littlewood managed to get away with that one, if I'm completely honest. And he's got Yannick Ruoff from Germany chasing him down. Ruoff looking very, very steely and determined there, trying to go side by side. Now this is into the Kleine Schikane. That's going to go wrong if anyone decides to cut the chicane, and Ruoff's done exactly that. And he's flashing his lights at Littlewood, but I think that's one good turn deserves another, even though that two wrongs don't make a right. And Ruoff actually was, I think he must have outbraked himself as that's Johnston trying to go up the inside, and he's tangling with the Ferrari. And that could have gotten very, very messy very, very quickly indeed. As there's been a turnaround at the back of the field. That could be Umberto Noto, maybe. As David Corso in the number 15 Lexus up past, I think that is an Aston Martin he's just got past. So at the moment, there's been a lot of argy-bargy between the top four. As there is Alex Johnson. Daniel Ginchard is not too far behind. As Calvin Heitzel goes side by side, door handle to door handle with Mihai Suzianu. Suzianu manages to get past. So we completed lap number one. And Thomas currently leads. Littlewood in second. Johnston in third. Ruoff followed by Ginchard as Mathieu Milot, who qualified in the top 10, now down to 14th as a result of a pass by Marco Piardi. Sheldon Scott Muscat rounding out the top 12 at the moment. And his teammate Kirsten in the number 1. Rounding out the top 9. We go back to Daniel Ginchard, who's now got past that Yannick Hall. So, at the moment, it is a PC Boys top 4, with Thomas, Littlewood, Johnston and Ginchard leading the way. 27 minutes and 45 seconds as we go on board the rear roof cam. As massive loss of momentum for Yannick Ruoff, and that has allowed Mihai Suzianu to get past the prancing horse. Calvin Heitzel and also Oscar Saristo closing in on the number 297 from Germany, from the Good Time Racing Ferrari. Lagersten down in 24th has got Jake Payne just behind. That's the battle for 24th position. Just ahead of them, they've got, looks like Steve Johnson in the number 85. He's changed from the Lexus that we normally see him in into the Mercedes. So Calvin Heutzel getting pressurised now by Oscar Saristo. And he's got Yannick Hoff just behind. We go on board with the Flying Fin. As you can see how wide Calvin Heutzel went. At least it was 2 wheels onto the grass, not all 4, because otherwise he would have been in the barriers. Breaking into the left-hander at Erster. That was Yannick Hoff running a bit wide. As they now go through into Sternwacht and then Kanalbocht. And then the Lucien Bianchi Bocht. Before the run down to the Kleine Schikane. And Sheldon Scott Muscat closing in on the number 1 Ferrari. Now this is the battle for P9. We go on board with the Mercedes. Tried and tested machinery for Sheldon Scott Muscat as they go through the Kleine Schikane into Sacrament Schelling. Sweep into the left-hander at over 200 kph in fourth gear. Drop down the gears into second. We dropped it down into first, I think, and he went up the gears going through the chicane to get the traction down through. As Kirsten runs a little bit wide going through into Terlamen. Andrea Rizzo in the R Motorsport livery in the number 62 Aston Martin V8 Vantage GT3. Also, that's a 4-litre V8 turbocharged Mercedes lump behind the wheel. And obviously, for those wondering what's happened in Formula 1, well, Aston Martin Cognizant Racing Team have Mercedes power units this season, and they have 2 drivers, Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel. Steve Painter coming under fire from Janar Titus in the Team Cruising Missiles Mercedes. You can see a lot of the drivers have gone for the Evo package. And Titus in the slipstream dives up the inside of Steve Painter. Brilliant move there from the number 66 Mercedes. Up the inside of the number 14 Lexus. Mihai Sutianu, in the meantime, is being closed in on. So it is the Raging Bull against the Prancing Horse here. As we go on board with the German in the number 297 Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. Through into Kleine Schikane. And oh, did you see the amount of air that Sutianu just got back? Just got then? Absolutely 2 wheels in the air. I think the whole car lifted off. I think he did a bit of a Knight Rider through that chicane. And again, the Lamborghini nearly ending up skywards. Going through the Villeneuve chicane into Terlamenbocht, and someone's run very wide further up the road. And that would have been possibly Daniel Ginchard, who's right on the back bumper of Alex Johnston in the battle for 3rd position. So Sutianu and Yannick Hoff, if they want to close to those in front, they've got to start working together rather than squabbling like a pack of children. As now Lagertsen is about to be passed by one of the Bentleys. And that is the number 44 of... Lagertsen gets it a bit wrong going through Boulderberg Bocht. And that was the number 44 of Dan Hackett, I believe. But the battle between the top 2, Nathan Thomas and Marcus Littlewood. Line astern at the moment. Let's have a look at the gaps between the drivers so far. Let's have a look particularly, if we can, at the top 5. Just over 3/10 separating Thomas and Littlewood. Johnston is half a second ahead of Ginchard. Sutianu is a further 3.1 seconds adrift in 5th place, but it has Yannick Hoff about 0.8 of a second behind. Calvin Heutzel has been a bit hung out to dry in 7th position and is only just under half a second ahead of Oscar Saristo. Sheldon Scott Muscat now up into 9th position. There is the car itself as oh my goodness me, it's definitely the gloves are out. Oh, we've got a proper T-bone there. Kirsten in the number 1 GT Omega RPM Esports car gets hit by Josef Dobbs in the and let's see, are we going to have a replay of this? Okay, Dobbs cuts the corner. Well, that was through the Kleine Schikane. They go through Sacrament Schelling. Now they're going to go into the Villeneuve chicane. So Kirsten looks to see the opportunity. Dobbs just tries to rejoin. Rejoins. I think, oh, that was completely an unsafe rejoin. There's going to be a penalty there for the Mercedes. That's guaranteed because that also compromised the 2 cars behind, one of which was one of the NERT Bentleys. That was Yadekola and Piardi who are now closing, and that has changed everything. Saristo now on the back bumper of Calvin Heutzel with 22 minutes remaining, as Ginchard has now got past Johnston for third place. So Yannick Ruoff definitely getting the elbows out on Mihai Suțianu, as Ruoff will have to watch himself on track cuts, especially through the Kleine Schikane, going through the Sacrament Schelling. That was definitely something that would not help Yannick Ruoff. He needs to keep it calm and keep it clean. He's got right on the back bumper of Suțianu going through the Villeneuve chicane, and I did spot Calvin Heutzel closing on the pair in front. David Corso is not too far behind. There's Ruoff. He's going every which way but loose behind Mihai Suțianu. So the German driver in the Ferrari has closed on the Romanian in the Lamborghini. We're coming up to the completion of the first third of this race in around just over 60 seconds time. So a lot of changes could be happening, and also depending on how aggressive the drivers are over the course of this race, as Calvin Heutzel gets a real good run out of the Jackie X bocht and closes in on Messrs Suțianu and Heutzel. There is the number 79. Ruoff runs wide, and that is giving Heutzel every bit of motivation that he needs to close in. So we now go through the Lucien Bianchi bocht very shortly, having negotiated through Canal bocht. We're going to stay on board with Calvin Heutzel in the 79, chrome green Mercedes. Also a fellow Good Time Racing teammate to Yannick Ruoff. And he's got Oscar Saristo not too far behind. The battle for what is going to be 10th position has just heated up. It is Crew's finest, with two Bentleys of Iadicola and Piardi just behind. Closing in on Kirsten in the number 1 Ferrari. 20 minutes now still to go here at Zolder on World Pro Racing. The first casual race, GT3 this week, GT4 next week. And that will, next week's race will take place at 20:30 Central European Time, 19:30 UK time. Don't forget, you can join us here on weekly casual races, special events and championships, such as the forthcoming 90 minutes multi-class of the Nürburgring, the 26th of January 2021. And I'll be there along with my good German cohort, Niklas Hilbrand. We'll also have the all-German 2-hour race on the 30th of January. Still spots available. Head to worldproracing.com to find out more information about the format. And also, I think there will be 3 mandatory pit stops in that race. And also, there's still 6 places available for the Porsche 911 GT3R race at Brands Hatch on the 2nd of February. But every single event, all the World Pro Racing Sprint Series, and we've just had that there has been a dangerous rejoin penalty given to Josef Dobbs for a dangerous rejoin. That is a 10-go stop-and-go penalty. So that's the first penalty of the evening. Up until that point, it had been rather clean sailing. And that the Germans' race will go from bad to worse. You can see it on the left-hand side of your screen. Looks like the some of the cones have been literally thrown to one side in the first carambolage going through into the Kleine Schikane. But, well, into the Villeneuve chicane. But you can just see how committed these drivers are. They put plenty of time behind the wheel on the relevant simulators. But at the moment, it's still the Bentleys leading the way. 4 of them, in fact. So Thomas leads. Littlewood not too far behind. They've kept pretty much consistent pace between themselves. The numbers 70 and number 12. Ginchard in the 37. Alex Johnson in the 248. Mihai Suțianu in the 22 Lamborghini rounds out the top 5 ahead of Yannick Ruoff. In the 297 Ferrari, Calvin Heutzel in the number 79 Mercedes leads ahead, or in 7th place ahead of Oscar Saristo from Finland in the number 9 Ferrari, with Sheldon Scott Muscat in the number 16 Mercedes, and Alessandro Iadicola running out the top 10. So 5 Bentleys in the top 10. Go back on board briefly with Mihai Suțianu, who knows that Yannick Ruoff got all 4 wheels in the air off of the Kleine Schikane, and that lost him some momentum. And his teammate, well, his Good Time Racing buddy, Calvin Heutzel ready to pounce as they go through the Villeneuve chicane. Oscar Saristo now fancies a slice of the cake round about now. 17 minutes to go. Still all to play for. As Bruno Vieira, that's an absolute, that's an overtake done, and that's by, what a move by Steve Painter through into the Kleine Schikane. And now they go through Sacrament Schelling into Butter and into the Villeneuve chicane. Oh, Steve Painter outbrakes himself, and that was getting a bit of an advantage. He gets an automatic drive through. I think he's incurred the wrath of the system software. So just waiting for a message to come through from race control. As I think there might have been a little bit of a contact there between Vieira and also Painter. So Vieira from Portugal, looking towards the inside of the Jackie X-Bocht. As now there's been a bit of a moment. Now that is disaster for the number 69. Vieira. Okay, right, let's have a look at the replay here. So that is the number 9 of, that's Oscar, now that's one of the PC boy cars coming back in, and that's right in the path of Yannick Ruoff. And that Ruoff's run wide. The Bentley's trying to keep out of the way. And the number 9 goes straight into the 69 there. Oh dear, that was definitely a bit uncalled for there. I'll just keep an eye on the timing tower on the left-hand side, and that was Oscar Saristo. So Saristo was involved. Now I'm just wondering who the number 69 was, because at the minute the lead battle. We've also got a drive-through coming for Bruno Vieira for I thought it was Umberto Noto that was turned around on lap 1, and Vieira gets a drive-through for the troubles of doing so. So Oscar Saristo will definitely be investigated. Couldn't really see whether that was with malicious intent or not. Not too sure, but that is down to race control. Steve Painter will now have to come in and serve a drive-through, and decides to go straight on at the corner. So Nathaniel Thomas and Marcus Littlewood having their own inter-team scrap, and Littlewood looking up the inside, and they bump door panels. This is going to allow Ginchard to really close up on them. But Littlewood did the right thing there. He knew he'd gone in a bit too deep and allowed Thomas to get back. But Ginchard now, with 14 minutes on the clock, still has an opportunity to compete for this lead. And look, now the gap, that's going to be less than a second between these three, as now they go through into the Jackie X-Bocht. And now it comes down to who wants it the most. And I know that all three of them, they are karters, they do want to win, and it's a good way to kickstart their respective racing here. Is a bit of a run there from Littlewood on Thomas. Thomas went a bit wide going through the exit of Erster, as Littlewood trying to go around the outside. You've got to be kidding me. Through Sterrenwacht and into Kanalbocht. They're still nearly side by side. Littlewood sweeps to the inside. Thomas looks to cover, does so. Ginchard is rubbing his hands with glee. So we go across the line, and you can just see how hard they are pushing. They go down down into the Sacrament Schelling, into Butter, and the Villeneuve chicane. You can just see that Daniel Ginchard is just waiting, whereas Littlewood fancied an opportunity. He had a bit of a sniff. He stuck his nose up the inside of Thomas. So deep into the braking zones. Oh, Littlewood looking rather feisty, but then Ginchard just waiting. And now they're coming out of the Jochen Rindt corner, and then through into the final chicane, which then sees them come out of the Jackie X-Bocht. So Thomas, Littlewood and Ginchard, nothing really between them. As now Littlewood looking up the inside into Erster on Thomas. Thomas giving him enough racing room, but Littlewood has a moment. Ginchard nearly split the pair of them. He's looking up to try and get past. So Littlewood takes the lead. And that means that Ginchard now is in Piggy in the middle. Leigritsen has got a drive-through from race control for an incident on Steve Johnson on lap number 4. So the Porsche driver will have to park it in the next 3 laps. But now Daniel Ginchard looking towards... He's looking towards the outside of the Kleine Chicane. He's got Nathan Thomas as Littlewood goes bumping over the curbs, and that has lost him a lot of momentum. Ginchard looking to sweep towards the inside of the Sacrament Schelling. Now he's going to the outside of the Villeneuve chicane. This is going to be rather tight. Thank goodness they all got through in one piece. So Ginchard, his first appearance on World Pro Racing. Qualified P4, now into P2. Thomas was on pole by 6 1,000ths ahead of Littlewood. Thomas is now looking to see if he can get back past Ginchard. Teams can race fairly, but one of the biggest rules is never take out your teammate. And these 3, they're all part of the same stable. So this is where it gets rather interesting as we are fast approaching the conclusion of the second third. There's Mats Walden. Good to see him back in the number 13. Porsche running P21, a good effort for that driver. Then we've got Marco Piardi, that has got Oscar Saristo not too far behind. So Leigritsen had actually gotten all the way up into 16th position. So the 992 will drop out of the top 20. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Littlewood still leading Ginchard. They're now coming up against back marker traffic as Mathieu Milo against Andrea Rizzo in the number 62. Aston Martin, we go on board with the number 18 Lexus. Oh, a lot of correction there through the Jochen Rundbocht. But that caused the 26 Lexus to have a bit of lack of momentum carry just because the curves really caught the Lexus out. So Riboldi's in the pits, having dropped from 16th. So Marcus Littlewood. Oh, drive-through for Daniel Ginchard. Drive-through for Daniel Ginchard. Now, was that due to an incident? Or I think if I don't get a message from race control, that says to me track limits, but he will have been pushing like crazy. That's going to give Nathan Thomas an idea. Ginchard straight into the pit lane. Good call there. And nearly does. A Lewis Hamilton-like China... Lewis Hamilton 2008 China syndrome there. Ginchard now trundling down the pit lane. Will not, if he gets out of that pit lane and he's sped, that's going to be straight away a stop-go 30. So local time on the server 8:07 p.m. Track temperature 24 degrees Celsius, air temperature 24. So it was the software from Assetto Corsa Competizione that did cause him as it's nearly side by side between Milo and Rizzo for 16th position. So the system software designated the drive-through to Daniel Ginchard as Milo loses a bit more momentum there, and that was going through Boulderberg. As the Aston Martin with that thunderous roar, the turbocharged 4-litre V8. So Ginchard dropping down the order as Marco Piardi runs wide, sparks flying from the back of the Bentley, and that is allowing Oscar Saristo to get past. Daniel Ginchard not too far behind. Nathan Thomas running out the top 2 positions now as Marcus Littlewood has the lead with just under 8 minutes to go. So we've seen our fair share of good battling, but we've also seen our fair share of incidents being dealt with by our fantastic race direction and stewarding team here at World Pro Racing. If you do want to get involved, you can head to the official World Pro Racing YouTube channel and hear from our very own race director who is FIA licensed, that is Adrian Figalo, about how you can get involved with stewarding here on World Pro Racing. We'll give you all the advice you need and help you to become a steward. If you do want to get yourself into racing here, as that's Dan Ginchard trying to go past Marco Piardi, or the Bentleys clash front wing panels and Ginchard ends up worse off and still stays in 12th position, having been in second place. That was his highest position, having qualified in P4 earlier on. 7 minutes to go. Marcus Littlewood leads as Daniel Ginchard runs a little bit wide going through the exit of Erster and then into Stellenbach Bocht. Andrea Rizzo still ahead of Mathieu Milot. Dan Hackett has got a drive-through penalty, so that would have been initiated by the game. Mihai Suțianu, who has also won races, but also has been on the podium here at Racing, still trying to wrestle that Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo by the scruff of the neck, and is keeping ahead of Germany's Calvin Heutzel, with Yannick Ruoff rounding out the top 6 as Dan Hackett now will come out of the pits, having served his drive-through penalty. So darkness quickly falling here at Zandvoort. 8:22 as Daniel Ginchard flashing the front fog lights on that Bentley, trying to get past Marco Piardi, who we go on board with. Track temperature continuing to drop by a further degree. 23 degrees air, 23 degrees track. Still optimum, so the track is rubbering in. So maybe that might give Dan Ginchard an opportunity in the next 5.5 minutes or so to try and get back up into 11th position. But Oscar Saristo looks to be a bit too far in the distance. Andrea Rizzo now has tried to get away from Mathieu Milot, but the Lexus driver still trying to keep on level pegging with the Aston Martin, decked out in those in the wonderful matte grey with blue accents, very Tron-esque delivery from R Motorsport, who have competed in both the DTM and also in GT3 competition. All tag from behind and sideways and nearly completely loses the back end, but he caught that one. Well saved. Mathieu Milot might get investigated for the stewards, but quickly let Rizzo back, so knew that he had done wrong there. And it's always good to see the drivers using a lot of sporting behaviour in that way. So the headlights now starting to come on every single car as Oscar Saristo still in 9th place, as Kirsten from GT Omega RPM Esports closing on the 6 of the number 9, so basically on the tail. Calvin Heutzel and Yannick Ruoff still holding station. Saristo now has a drive-through penalty on Yaziunas on lap 10. So it was Yaziunas that was the 69 Bentley. Daniel Ginchard has now finally got past Marco Piardi for 11th position in the dying moments of this race. So Andrea Rizzo still holding on to the 14th place on this running order. So there you go, on this left-hand side of your screen, Oscar Saristo will now have to serve an automatic drive-through, a drive-through penalty handed by Race Control. 3.5 minutes still remaining, and Marcus Littlewood, Nathan Thomas and Alex Johnston rounding out a top 3 for Bentley. Mihai Suțianu in the number 22 Lamborghini rounds out the top 4 ahead of Germany's Calvin Heutzel in the number 79. Mats Walden from Sweden in the number 13 is still in 21st position. Steve Painter looks to be a bit far up the road, and Mathieu Milot has now got past Andrea Rizzo as sparks fly from the rear diffuser of the Lexus GT3 going through the Kleine Chicane. And little bit of a track cut there, I think, through the exit of the Villeneuve chicane. So might have to watch that. Saristo now serves a drive-through, putting Daniel Ginchard into 10th position. Yannick Ruoff has dropped a little bit further back behind Calvin Heutzel. Sheldon Scott Muscat, great drive from him, started outside of the top 13, as Calvin Heutzel now gets a drive through as well. So a lot of drivers getting a bit unclean, reference possible track limits here. So that's going to put the German behind teammate Yannick Horhoff. Sheldon Scott Muscat will now have an opportunity to get up into 6th position. He's not close enough at this particular moment to challenge Yannick Horhoff. Quite a bit of a distance behind, but now Calvin Heutzel will have to pull into the pits and decides to do so. So, oh, and touches the barrier on the right. So the right front wing gets clattered into as he got into the barriers, and he will have to. It's a 50 km/h speed limit here. But Marcus Littlewood will have very much the case an opportunity here. So looks like we're going to have I've got another message incoming from race controllers. Darkness well truly has fallen here at Zolder, as we are with Marcus Littlewood. Very briefly, we've got just under 60 seconds of the race remaining. So Littlewood is now making his way through the Terlammenbocht. So this time around, we will get the signal from the race control that we will have the final lap very shortly, as blue flags being waved to the drivers behind Littlewood. So Andrea Rizzo trying to definitely make sure that everything happens. Rizzo, no further action. Leader now on the final lap. Marcus Littlewood has just under 2.5 miles to negotiate. Our race steward has said that the accident between Rizzo with Milo, no further action, as Milo gave the position back. Timer has now hit 0, as darkness is very much entrenched here at Circuit Zolder in Belgium. And despite a bit of squabbling between the PC boys, Marcus Littlewood has come out on top on that one. And he comes through the Kleine Chicane, the front end going up in the air. Nathan Thomas's car, the right-hand side pair of wheels going up in the air as we go on board with the number 12, Bentley. As one of the cars just up ahead has kicked up a bit of dust, but Marcus Littlewood, just a handful of corners to go. As Ginchard looking to close for 8th position at the flag, and pulls towards the outside, looks to, and is he going to keep it planted there? Not too sure, but it's going to be a case of the first victory here at World Pro Racing for 2021 PC Boys Esports. Marcus Littlewood in the number 12 Bentley Continental GT3 takes the victory. Nathan Thomas makes it a 1-2 for the team, and well, they do say that 2's company, 3's a crowd. Not on the podium, it's not. Alex Johnston in the 248 rounds out the top 3 positions. Mihai Suțianu in the Lamborghini finishes ahead of Yannick Horhoff. So the Romanian following ahead of the German in the 22 Lamborghini. And look at that formation for the top 3. So Littlewood, Thomas, and also that looks to be the number 44 there. I think that is of Dan Hackett. They put in a lot of hard work, and it has definitely paid dividends, even though they were squabbling between each other. So Littlewood takes the victory. Thomas in 2nd, Johnston 3rd, Suțianu is... well, that was not what you really want to see on the slowdown lap, was it? But hey-ho, it is what it is. Horhoff in 5th ahead of Muscat, who did a great job coming outside of the top 15 to finish 6th. Yadekola, Kirsten in the number 1 Ferrari. Daniel Ginch managed to fend off Daniel Ginchard at the flag. Marco Piardi, Janar Titus, Calvin Heutzel, and Oscar Saristo could have been in the top 10 had it not been for drive-through penalties. Mathieu Milo and Andrea Rizzo round out the top 15 ahead of David Corso, Bruno Vieira, Steve Painter. A good effort this time around for Christopher Lagertsen and Mats Walden running at the top 20 positions. Well, I think we will be saying good night to Zolder as everyone making their way back to the pit lane. There's Dan Hackett, who finished in 24th ahead of Josef Dobbs, who had that T-boning incident, unfortunately, with the dangerous rejoin a little bit earlier on. But there you have it. What a way to kickstart the 2021 broadcast season for us here on World Pro Racing. Hopefully very shortly, I'll be joined by our top 3 drivers here on our official Discord server. Obviously, you can go to worldproracing.com, find out all the relevant information to join us here on our many different races, casual, championship, and special events we run on PC and PS4. So it's going to be rather interesting indeed. A big thank you also, firstly, to our partners. This stream has been powered by Melita, Thrustmaster, AMD, HyperX, Visit Malta, and GamingMalta.com. Also like to thank all of you watching on motorsport.tv, eSports TV, and also TVM Sport in Malta. So hopefully very shortly, we just await for our drivers to come in and have a chat with yours truly before we sort of say goodbye for the evening. So a big thank you to you all for watching. It's really good to see the action definitely unbridled here. It's going to kick up a further gear for the opening of the second season for World Pro Racing ACC Sprint Series, with Jake Sperry and Nathan McGinley being your official commentators this Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central European time. So first things first, I think I have our third place driver in with us, Alex Johnson. Alex, bit of a fight back there, but good to see that the PC boys locked out the podium.
Yeah, really proud of our boys. It's a real shame about Dan Ginchard that he got the drive-through, which put him down in the order, which really gifted us third. But we just really struggled with the car I did today in the race. I'd only driven the track once before today, and I spent about 2 hours driving prior to the race. So to me, the track is still new. I'm still trying to familiarise myself. But no, yeah, a good race from all of us.
Well done tonight, Alex, and congratulations on running out the podium. Next up, we'll speak to the man that put it on pole position, but missed out on the victory. It was so close, Nathan. So close.
Yeah, it was a tough one. From practice, I thought I had no chance at poling it, and I was like 4th or 5th, and managed to get it hooked up in qualifying, and managed to put it on pole only by 6 thousandths. But doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you do it.
Well, they do say that times are for show, don't they?
Yeah.
But obviously, I wanted to talk to you about the battle that you, Marcus, and Dan were having, because it was 3 abreast, I think, coming out of the Villeneuve chicane. I think you all must have been hanging on for dear life. And if someone had said new Nomex, someone would have probably been distracted and probably would have ended up going off the circuit.
Yeah, we were really going for it. It was a really good showing from the team. A bit unlucky for me, made a couple of mistakes, struggled with the brakes as the race went on. So fell back there. Unfortunately for Ginchard, his penalty set him back, but for me, gifted me second place. And just tried to apply as much pressure as I could to Marcus, but he just kept gradually pulling away. It was a shame, really, but a really, really strong showing for the team, which is exactly what we want going into future races.
That's really good to hear. Well done tonight, Nathan. And
thank you very much.
Better luck next time, my friend. But
Thank
Marcus Littlewood, our first victor here on World Pro Racing for 2021. You must be smiling like a Cheshire cat at the moment.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm really happy. We worked like quite a long time to get a setup ready for the race, and look, it's worked out. And just a massive thanks to the team, and well done to them for putting on a great show. And thank you to the WPR team for putting on this event. It wouldn't be possible without them. So thanks.
Well done, guys. Great job this evening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's it from us here at World Pro Racing. Again, we have all our partners and sponsors, without whom this would not be possible. This stream has been powered by Melita. We've also got to thank our good friends at visitmalta.com, our good friends at Gaming Malta, HyperX, where we're all gamers, AMD, and Thrustmaster. We'd like to say a big thank you to those watching on motorsport.tv, Malta's TVM Sports, and Esports TV. And also for those that have been watching on the World Pro Racing Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube streams. This is Alex Goldschmidt signing off. I hope you all stay safe and well, and we'll see you this coming Friday for the kickstart of World Pro Racing ACC Sprint Series number 2. And don't forget, after this, we'll be going to our highlights. Thank you for watching, and good night for now.